We've all been asked the question before. If you were trapped on a deserted island and can only bring one blank, what would you bring? Aside from being corny as hell, in the context of video games, things get a little interesting.
So which game would you bring? I don't know about you, but on the surface that seems really hard to answer. I've played hundreds of games, all of various length and quality, and my favorites are constantly changing. So obviously, it's a tough decision with a lot to consider.
When limiting yourself to only one choice, only one game you'll be able to play for the foreseeable future, generally, you'll want a game that will last a long span of time. With that in mind, the best game to choose would logically be one with the largest length, the greatest amount of content. Games like Skyrim, Grand Theft Auto 5, Minecraft, or even Dark Souls.
These games are known for providing hundreds of hours worth of content. But what if I told you that my game of choice could be beaten in an average of about 5 hours? What if I told you I could beat this game in a single sitting? What if I told you that this game was Donkey Kong Country 2?
Hit 'em, baby!
There's a lot to love about the Donkey Kong Country franchise. It pioneered a graphical style revolutionary for its time, it carries an immense amount of personality, and can be credited with proving that 2D platformers still have a place in today's market. If you're a fan of 2D platformers, they're all worth giving a shot, but there's a reason why Donkey Kong Country 2 is commonly believed to be the best in the bunch. It all starts with the first game, and it has a lot to do with context. The year is 1994, the release year for the original DKC. Super Mario World, a game considered by many to be the pinnacle of 2D platforming, is released 4 years prior as a launch title for the SNES. Perhaps if DKC were to follow in the footsteps of Mario World, it would have fallen into obscurity among the vast catalog of platformers on the system, but it didn't. Instead, it challenged the genre in unconventional ways, one of which being the unique visual style. The pre-rendered graphics were the first step to drawing you in, aided by its setting. It takes place in what could be mistaken as the real world. It is just a jungle after all, and in a way, it's oddly more relatable than Mario. There are no silly questions that are only answered in the manual, and every location is based off of something in the real world. It paves the way for its overarching theme of familiarity versus uncertainty. You begin in a series of worlds that are familiar to our furry friends, progressing to lands unknown as you hike your way up the mountain, providing a gradual buildup of tension to the menacing closing worlds and final boss. So, why is this important? Because in DKC 2, all of that was thrown out the window. There is no logical progression here. You travel from a pirate ship to a volcano to a swamp to a carnival, but it works. By abandoning the realism established in the original, the developers were really able to expand on the mechanics and level design. You'll notice that there's a lot more verticality in stages, such as climbing up the mast of a great pirate ship or clinging to the sticky walls in a massive beehive. The concept of water in minecart levels has expanded, be it desperately seeking the surface of a sinking ship or blazing through roller coasters where a mere blink can see you to your death. Animal buddies show much more polish as well by appearing in dedicated levels catering to their strengths and weaknesses. Boss fights are more dynamic, leading to much tenser fights, and damn it, just about everything introduced in the original has been refined and expanded on in the sequel down to the control of your character.
It's tighter, it's smoother, and it moves faster. Moving faster. That's what makes all the difference between simply recognizing this as a decent game and falling in love with it.
You see, I have no childhood nostalgia for this game. In fact, as a child, I loved the original, completely unaware that a sequel existed. Even as a teenager emulating games for the first time, I couldn't get into it. It was jarring. It didn't make sense to me. What is this place? Where is Donkey Kong? It wasn't until no more than 6 months ago did I really get it, when I was challenged by friends to compete in a speedrun race. It forced me to see the game through to the end, to see it in a new light. Playing the game through multiple times, I began to really appreciate the slight changes to the mechanics and level design. Movement is constant, tight, and consistent. Everything is deliberate. Here, both characters are designed to move quickly in different circumstances, making one just as viable as the other, showing one's strength as the other falters. It's also fucking tough. but incredibly fair. The game begs to be speedrun, and so I did in anticipation of this event. I live streamed every night, cementing my love for it alongside all my friends who enjoyed watching, slowly honing my skills as I improved my time with each run. I was ready to kick ass as I was the favorite. I got to the end with a 20-minute lead, and I choked. I choked really fucking hard. It was probably the most embarrassing experience I ever had playing a video game, almost embarrassing enough to give up speedrunning the game just as quickly as I started, but I just couldn't. I'd gone to hell and back with this game, and all I wanted to do was play more, to get even better, to sail over top of dismal swamps and hot boiling lava as Dixie with ease, to quickly scale massive ships as Diddy, to bounce over hordes of Kremlings as Rattly, and squeeze through tight crevices of thorns as Squawks. DKC 2 became my go-to game, a game I could pick up at any moment and just lose myself in, after a long day of work, after a heated argument with a friend, or even when I just have nothing else to play.
So this is where we reach full circle, because I know what game I'd bring with me to a deserted island. It isn't Grand Theft Auto 5, it isn't the next Fallout game, and it's certainly not the next 200-hour JRPG. It's a game that, because of the way I play it, I will never get tired of it, yet I'm open to acknowledging its faults, like dodgy hitboxes or levels that are just complete duds. However, that doesn't diminish the value of my experience with it. Perhaps DKC 2 isn't the best platformer to grace this nest, but there's nothing else on the system that has had as much of an impact on me. It's experiences like these that determine our favorite games, and on that note, I am eternally grateful to those who pushed me to give DKC 2 a fair shot, leading me to recognize one of my favorite games of all time.